Welcome to the Real Tech Talk podcast, peoples, where your host, EBreezy, is back on the ones and twos. Here we go. We're going to be interviewing technologists to find out what they're creating is real or it's fake, whether it's changing the way I build and develop or it's not. I got Chen Konfino on this bad boy. You got to tune in, you got to listen up, and we're going to be doing it every 2 weeks. So get on board and let's get busy. That's why we're here, bro. This is Real Tech Talk. Boom shakalaka. So who the hell are you, bro? You know, what are you into? What do you do? Dude, you can keep it real here. Tell me about these real estate players.
Eric Brody is the managing principal of CEMVC LLC. All opinions expressed by Eric and podcast guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinion of CEMVC LLC. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon as a basis for investment decisions. Clients of CEMVC LLC may maintain positions in the securities discussed in this podcast.
Welcome to Real Tech Talk podcast, filming another episode. This week, we got Chen Konfino. The company that he is representing is called Younity. I want him to get into it, tell him a little bit about himself, and then he'll get into the actual company. So, Chen, welcome to the podcast, man. Thanks a million for taking the time to come.
Thanks, Eric. Thanks for inviting me. And thanks for spelling and correcting the pronouncement of my name. In Hebrew, it means grace. So in Hebrew, it means something beautiful, right?
Wow. Look at that. Well, we're going to find out today if there is charm, beauty, and grace in there, all right?
Hopefully.
So, before I always get started with getting into the actual company, I always like to ask like a personal question. So tell me a little bit, what motivates you? What gets you out of bed every day?
Awesome. I think whatever we do as humans, we need some kind of to be inspired, to be fulfilled by the things that we're doing. And what motivates me is to be around super smart people, get to work on a very complicated problem, and feel that we're moving the needle for a big cohort of people, like the humanity. How can we do something better for someone else? It's not enough to have this gaming app on your mobile device. If it makes you million good, might be working for you. I want to know that what we solve is complex, working with the smartest people, and to have a meaningful impact on someone's life. This wakes me up every day with a smile on my face.
You know what? That's super noble. And I apologize, you're only with me for an hour, so that you have to deal with this Neanderthal talking about your technology. So I know you're like the best and brightest, but humor me for at least an hour, all right?
No worries.
So tell me, what is your company? My audience has no idea. I didn't preface it. We didn't talk about it. So just break it down. What are you doing? What are you trying to solve? And what is it?
It's interesting, like for me, growing up next to computers from a very young age, I got my computer to my bar mitzvah as a present for my father. And this was the beginning of my relationship with computers. It was only a DOS interface with few games. And it got me excited because I learned how to hack these games. So I was proud because I could show off to my friends how cool, because my score was the highest, but it was not real because I was able to hack the game.
So how did hacking games, doing your homework, lead to Younity?
It's fascinating because you, like Steve Jobs said, you're only able to connect the dots backward, right? You can't imagine that this will lead you to someday start a company. And back then it was never the thing for me to do stuff on the computer besides to impress someone else, to impress my friends, to do my homework better, faster. And I remember I learned to code during school. And, like every guy in Israel, when he turns 18, he joins the military. So I joined the military. And I was always surrounded by smart people, super smart people working on super complicated problems. And, it got me motivated and inspired because I always saw people around me doing things that I considered back then impossible, with the impossible resources, budget, and time. We were able to accomplish amazing things. And it got me motivated and think, if this is possible, if you have so many smart people around you and you're all share the same vision and you're motivated enough, you can achieve great things.
So I get it. So you start to realize that with smaller resources, intelligence, and motivation, you can achieve some incredible things. Fine, but that's not an idea for a business. You would know that if you did have an idea, you can achieve it. So you decide to, after the military, to join a small startup. So you weren't the principal. You were joining a company. Mm-hmm.
I was one of the first employees,
Mm-hmm.
and I decided intentionally to join something that's small, that can grow and has a potential. And it was fascinating to see how we can take this big problem of securing the data on the side of the server, and we developed this groundbreaking technology that allows us to move the data to the cloud with a very strong enterprise-grade encryption, or even military-grade encryption, that allows you to preserve the server-side functionalities. So if you need to search for something on the server and it's already encrypted, how do you search for it? And it's
So basically use the data just like it did when you had it as like a fixed data center in the cloud.
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
And did you solve it?
We solved it. We had 7 patents, and it was an amazing journey. We learned so many things by doing the wrong things, and it was a very good university for starting a startup, understanding how things are operating. We were in love with the technology, and I think we lost sight on the business, on the sales cycle, the marketing, and
Like it's still a capitalist society, right? We got to get paid eventually, even if it's a solution, right?
Exactly. We were so involved in the deep tech, so we had the most secure, the most robust, the most scalable solution, but all the other companies are just smoke and mirrors, but doing great marketing. They won the customers at the end of the day.
You know, just to harp on that, because I think people really don't understand, right? You may be promoting and getting promoted by these companies that are stating this is a solution for whatever the case may be. As we see it all the time in construction tech, and here's a solution for project management or for on-site staffing, right? But at the end of the day, it could be just smoke and mirrors, right? And that's one of the reasons we started this podcast, was to be able to really dive deep into who is giving a real solution. But it's interesting, marketing could take out a better product, right?
Exactly.
That's wild, right? Like you get the right marketing company to put a better packaging on it, and they could win. All right, so you're at this company, it's incredible, but they lose the marketing game. Boom. So then what?
So we had patents, we had a customer base, and we had some revenues, obviously. But it meant something to many companies. So we were starting a due diligence process with a few acquirers, and we ended up being acquired by a publicly traded company called CyberArk. It was funny. I can tell you this story. When we got acquired, it was a process about 3 months during due diligence, some technical due diligence, legal due diligence, and a friend of mine came to me in one of the lunch, and he was making a point about his internet in his apartment. He was living in the south of Tel Aviv. So you imagine this neighborhood with the lousy infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
So he was making a point all day, all the time about the internet, going off and on, off and on. And it was like, how can I make him stop complaining? Like, I need to do something with this guy.
It's going to give this guy internet somehow.
I told him, like, I bet I can come over and fix your internet problem. He said, never. So challenge accepted. Went to his apartment Friday afternoon and decided to fix his internet. And I came over and I saw this lousy infrastructure. So I decided to take a cellular router, a Wi-Fi mesh device, and a firewall that able to combine multiple sources of internet and create redundancy. So every time his wired solution fail, I move to wireless, and vice versa when it goes back online. And after a couple of weeks, he got back to complain and said, "Offer, like, we fix it. Why you keep complaining?" He said, "You don't know, the entire neighborhood for 2 days, there is no internet. Like, one construction guy did demolition and
Cut the wire.
he cut the wire for the entire neighborhood for the 2 providers available in the industry, in the streets." So I told her, "What do you think about creating this community Wi-Fi?" And this afternoon, I went to the store, and I went to this cell representative, and I asked for 20 cellular routers. And she looked at me shocked. Like, why do you need 20? And I told her about
Are
the
they allowed
situation.
to sell it to you?
No. She called the manager, and I needed to explain to the manager, why do I need 20 cellular routers? I was giving them for free. I was setting up the Wi-Fi. Within 2 weeks, I got 20 apartments connected to the Wi-Fi. And it was the thing back then. South of Tel Aviv, everybody's saying there is a community Wi-Fi powered by the people that doesn't cost money. It's cheaper, it's more convenient. Why do we need to go back to the internet provider if they treat us this way?
So you knew the building blocks, right? So whatever the experience as a kid, going behind the scenes, to you, the internet was a varying stages of building blocks of of technology. It wasn't they provide it and the router clicks and it's magic. To you, it meant something. Right? So if this guy had an issue down south, you were just like, oh, this piece, and this piece aren't working. We'll put them together. It works, right? You're like, all right, I got to go back home. Right? To you, it meant something.
It meant a lot, and the whole situation got me dig deeper and go to this rabbit hole and learn more about the internet. For me, in technology, we say this is the front end. This is what the application looked like. This is what you receive. But for me, it was always around opportunities, like what opportunities we can explore as soon as you have access to the internet. And
is that when Younity was formed? Was that Younity, by the way?
It was the community Wi-Fi, but it was the genesis behind what we're doing today. It was the beginning of us understanding that the internet is so important. It's this critical utility. It's the fourth utility. You have water, gas, and you have electricity, but you need internet. Everything in your life
100%
involves internet, and sometimes we kind of forget. And I think what's COVID taught us, and back then in Florentine I saw it firsthand. For 2 weeks, people were saying to me, take my electricity, take my water away, give me internet. That's the only thing I need, because it's not it's a necessity.
So give us the 30 seconds. So now what's Younity?
So when I was in Florentine, I realized that they will always require faster internet, and they want it affordable, and they don't want to be obligated to this big giant. So we created a company, we started a company, and we aim to solve this digital divide that people needs a more robust infrastructure, faster internet that is more affordable, that is more secure, and the infrastructure can be built from the ground up much more efficiently. It was back then when we decided to build a POC for a 40-story building.
What's POC?
It's a proof of concept. And when we go to this building and we build the infrastructure, then we realize we were missing a point. We were solving the internet problems for the tenants, but the bigger problem is the building. And only then we saw that the built environment is going through a huge transformation. The innovation cycle in technology is much faster than the innovation cycle in real estate.
I mean, one is the Titanic and one is a Sea-Doo jet boat. I mean, it's not even a question, they're running circles around the pace of construction.
Exactly. So if you consider, and Eric, I'm sure that you know this better than I, you go through a new construction project. You spend maybe 2 years in design with the architects, and you spend another 2 years in construction, and you probably spend another year during occupancy and lease up. So this is a 5-year cycle from the moment you start designing your project until your tenants are settled and your building is stabilized. 5-year cycle, you can imagine how is it like with technology.
Oh my God, I diss people all the time and tell them they're so 2019. They're like, what are you talking about? I'm like, you're not even up to date on what the technology is. Yeah, the tech is moving so fast. So whatever conversation you're having with the architect during design is completely irrelevant when your consumers are entering the building.
Exactly. And we installed our infrastructure, and the building came to us and he said, we designed a building 5 years ago. And we didn't think about how can we connect this digital gate that allows cars to go into the parking zone. Because now there is a camera that scans the plate, camera communicate with the cloud, ask this number is permitted, get approval, open the gate.
Wait. Slow down. Are you telling me, because my biggest problem when I'm developing these buildings is oh, that's a dope technology, key fab entrance, digital lock entrance, camera that's motion sensor. And then I'm dealing with like, oh, but how do I ever see any of this stuff? And it's like, well, you're going to log in here for this. You're going to log in here for that. I've got washer dryers. You're going to log in here to see how much money that is. I got a gym. You're going to log in here you're saying that you're creating something that's going to allow all of these things to actually communicate?
Or even more. So you ask a big question about what's the technology is all about. And you're absolutely right with your understanding of the market, because you're advanced, you're kind of ahead of the game. You understand that you're building, in order to build it more efficient and also manage it much more efficient, you need this technology. It's not because you like this smart HVAC system or you're excited about the smart electric meters that communicate to your dashboard or these sensors that find you leakages in the building. You want to reduce your insurance cost. You want to reduce your electricity bill. You want to reduce your power consumption and your carbon footprint. And you need technology in order to do so. You also want to have a better living experience in your buildings. Therefore, you need to have a more digitally advanced building in order to satisfy the basic requirements today.
I just want to tell you, you're making my head spin, because you just identified like 10 vendors that have to deal with individually that are not communicating with each other. Like no one is centralizing it, trying to solve for the security guy to talk to the camera guy to talk to leak detection. They don't have a clue what each other is doing. It's like the most annoying process where you think you're bringing in cool technology, but to operate that, I'd have to train a manager for 12 years to understand, right? There's no solution.
And we'll give you some examples. One of our customers invited us to a construction site in Coney Island. And they said, when we designed the building, we thought about smart thermostats. We can control the thermostats for 200 units remotely. So we installed them and we opened the building and we move all the tenants inside. And when we go to the dashboard to control these smart thermostats, we realize there's no network for connecting the thermostats. And I asked them why you didn't install the network, because it was kind of after the fact they opened the building. And they say, these thermostats, they cost $100 for 200 units. It was in the budget, but now we need to create a network to connect the thermostats. This costs $60,000. We're not going to invest $60,000 now. We don't have the budget.
Right. You're at the end of the job.
And we understand, and I think this is a good example to understand, that the bottleneck, that the thing that's preventing innovation in building, if you want to install smart solar panels, if you need a garage for your Tesla's charging station, they need network. And this capital that needs to be deployed in your building is so high right now. That's where we found Younity as interesting, because we deploy the infrastructure in your building.
So that's solving the enterprise. Everyone can attach. But the cost, how are you solving the cost?
So the cost was a big thing. So we were very proud when we realized that we can provide services to residents to give them faster internet at a cheaper cost, sometimes 50%, like half of the cost compared to the traditional vendors. So much cheaper because of efficiency. And
that's just because they're so 2019, right?
For a couple of reasons. This industry for a long time didn't innovate much. Like the internet, fiber, it's just a different type of material, but they still do and operate the same thing that the Bell Corporation did many years ago.
Yeah, but it's not their fault. They're making money, right? It's working, right?
It is working, so they're not trying to fix it.
Right.
But their margins, if you look on their margins, their labor cost only goes up. Wages in the US only goes up. This is a very labor-intensive work to install every apartment. So we realize that due to efficiencies, we can install the building at once and activate all the tenants and the systems using software. We install the infrastructure and we make these 200 units during occupancy, sending 200 technicians redundant.
And then you're getting the tenant, even though it's less expensive, to help offset that cost. So you're no longer charging. It's no longer required for the developer or the builder, the building owner to pay, because you're offsetting it by charging using sort of like an old system of charging for internet.
And I think it wouldn't be possible, but we thought that we can make it by allowing efficiency in the way we deploy, the way we secure, and the way we manage the network. And we were surprised because, like for this to happen, we needed everyone's involved to have a feeling that they're winning. The building owners needs to win. They're turning a cost center into a profit center. Instead of paying for the infrastructure thousands of dollars, they're now getting the most advanced, the most technological, capable system in their building for almost free. And the tenants, they have better internet. So also win for the tenants. They have property-wide, seamless roaming, fast, secure network at a cheaper cost. And also the vendor, the internet provider, they're also winning because they don't need to go and do the labor for every unit. They can wire the building, bring a huge fiber to our servers, and we will provide the network for the rest of the systems.
So listen, so let's say to not fall into the same trap as the old company that was incredible. So now how are you getting the word out, right? If you're saying, all right, so we've solved this incredible thing that I got to tell you, as a builder developer, if I came to you and said, here's the 15 technologies, oh, it's 16 now, there's a new dope one coming out, oh, it's 18, right? And I just lay them out to you and you go, it's done, here's your platform. I mean, it's incredible, right? But how do you get the word out now that this even exists if I feel like I'm at the forefront of technology and what's happening, and I still don't see you yet. This is our conversation now, which I think is incredible. Maybe it changes now the way I'm going to build and develop because I can call you up and be like, yo, did you hear about this? You're like, yeah, there's already an API on it. We'll connect, not a problem. Do your thing. But how are you marketing now so that people know about you?
Yeah, luckily, it was an amazing year for us. So many companies got affected by COVID, and luckily, our company tried to understand how this implies to the needs, and more people need internet. And I think that the customers that we work with have three problems, main ones, when it relates to network and connectivity in their buildings. They need to connect the existing stuff. In some buildings we see 9 different accounts with Verizon. And the reason there's 9 different accounts, because like you said, you end up connecting your cameras remotely. You want to manage your building. You have one account for the cameras and one account for the intercom, one account for the security system, one account for the BMS. And you keep adding them up, and you want Wi-Fi in the gym, another one. And the reason you want Wi-Fi for the gym, it's not only for the tenants, it's only also because you have Peloton and you have Miro, and this type of infrastructure needs Wi-Fi. And you have a lounge, and in the lounge you have Sonos, needs Wi-Fi. So you need to find a way to connect your existing infrastructure. Second, how do you know about new innovation? How do you engage with something that is new that can be profound to you? Unlike you, Eric, there are so many opportunities to upgrade your building. Think about your building has these brick and rooms, and you manage this building.
Yeah, you're just giving a new venue of how to upgrade it. It's not a renovation. I got to chop it out. Everyone has to stop.
Yeah,
I mean, you could immediately do some technology and bring in a new product, like immediately.
Exactly. So this is the point, the intersection that new technologies comes to the building. And your third challenge, how you make sure that your building is future-proof, because you never know what's about next. There are so many things that we look in the future that is going to make the building even more efficient. Self-driving cars, they need to communicate with your building in order to have a direct direction into the building, and also delivery autonomously.
Yeah, we're doing drones, right? Drone delivery. How are they going to know where to drop it, right?
To a rooftop. And, sometimes it sounds like these movies,
how will iRobot not know to take over my apartment without being connected?
Exactly. But we already see buildings that the walls can communicate and tell you the cement if it's dry enough, right? These sensors. So actually there are sensors inside your walls, and nobody is looking to solve the connectivity gap, the intersection between the technology everything is in siloed. So your camera doesn't speak to your door, your door doesn't speak with your CRM
Which seems like a fallacy, right? Because you and I are using phones that was so interesting is that they were like, oh, you do it better? Definitely write an app for me, right? Like, so Android and Apple, they won because they were like, no. We don't want to be exclusive. We want you to be inclusive. Like that idea from the very get-go of not being able to, like, it's wide open. Like, I want you to use it and connect and connect. It's so odd because we've learned the lesson that the more open you are, like, you seem to win.
That's a great example. And I think what we're focused right now, if you ask me as a company, we are building this railroad system that allows us to have a digital access inside the building. And what's important about this digital railroad system, that we don't know what's going on top of the railroad, right? When you create your railroad system and you have your trains, you don't know who is going to use them, but they're going to use them, and you need to provide the infrastructure, you need to provide the layout, the architecture, and this is what we spend most of our time building out these APIs, building out this digital roadmap.
So that whatever anyone comes up with can connect.
Exactly.
Oh, that's genius.
Exactly.
So you're being super inclusive.
We're trying to build a platform that everybody can play on top of, because we believe if you take the same analogy with Apple and Android, you need some kind of security in the infrastructure. You can't allow anyone to do everything they want. And like in our today's environment, you as the owner, you want your smart lock, they speak Bluetooth. You want your smart IoT, they speak Z-Wave, and other home automation will speak Zigbee or CBRS or Wi-Fi or 5G. How do you choose which platform, which protocol? How do you know what to put your bets on, right? So we're allowing this flexibility inside your building by creating these digital railroad systems that will allow the robustness.
There was something I just, because we're running out of time and we want to make sure that, my audience gets to know, a little something about you, okay? So we know that, you've been playing with computers since you were 13, which is absolutely amazing. But what else do you do to, balance your time in life? It can't all be on the computer. You're standing up tall, you don't have rounded shoulders. There's got to be something else going on. What are you doing to balance your life?
Yeah, funny. I always like to do extreme sports. I think there's something about running and also my passion about solving big problems. When I'm running, it allows me to think with the same kind of movement, that the same pace. So if I run slow, I need to think slow about deep things, and when I run fast, I'm running too many ideas together, and it allows me to balance. So I really like to run. I did a marathon.
But by extreme, what is it? People throwing knives at you while you're running?
The extreme part is about snowboard. It's about skydiving, about scuba diving.
Oh, you're doing a lot of skydiving?
Yeah.
Oh, God. I did it twice. I did it. I have no desire to pursue it.
Why you did the second time?
What's that? I know. But listen, we need you to be around. You can't do too many extreme. Your insurance is going to go through the roof if this company goes big.
But you need to explore other things in life, I guess. Like it allows you to open a mindset and try to feel like different type of extremes scenarios with you in your experience. And I guess putting you in the pressure. You go back and you say, wow, I survived this. I've been to extreme situation when I was snowboarding in some mountains in Europe. It allows you to have some perspective in life. And this balance helped me to think really clearly when I make decisions for the company.
Well, listen, this podcast is about whether we think that what you're providing is a medicine or a vitamin. And, I get the opportunity to meet some incredible people, and I have to decide whether I think, what you're doing is really changing the way we build and develop, and whether I would then put my capital at risk, right? Now, there's a million questions and legal and whether you were, if it's open to invest or whatever it is. But I got to tell you, profoundly, it's clear what you're solving. And if you get traction and word, you need marketing and everyone's got to know about your product. I think that it's definitely a game changer. And I see so many applications as to where it could go, right? One of the things I find so interesting is if I can understand my consumer in my building, and that means they stay an extra month, an extra year, because I'm able to change what that technology is, then I'm winning, right? Because my people are staying and they're having an experience in my building. Or I have some old-ass brownstone that's creaky steps, but it's the dopest technology that continues to change. And you're like, all right, like, I need the technology. That's what makes me happy. So I would definitely, to me, this is a no-brainer. I'd put my money where my mouth is, and we know how big that is. So listen, I wanted to thank you, for coming today. I really appreciate your time, and keep it up, man. Stay in touch with us. I would love to know what's popping with Younity.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Eric.
You
Thanks
got
for
it,
the
brother.
opportunity.
Of course.